Let's bring in economist and author of The Capitalist Code, Ben Stein. Hey, great to see you, Ben. What's your reaction to the president?
Great to see you.
It's great to see you. What's your reaction to the president saying he's going to be flexible with the tariffs?
I think it's a very good idea for him to be flexible. As an economist, as a free market economist, of course, I'm opposed to tariffs. I'm in favor of free trade. But I think there are cases where, one, he's made a campaign promise, and he's trying to keep his campaign promises, and I applaud that very, very much. Two, steel and aluminum are vital defense commodities, and it's important that we have a booming and very strong industry in those areas. So I don't feel as if it's that bad. And I think what people don't understand is that steel and aluminum on a raw basis are not very expensive. So if you raise the price 25%, the amount of difference that makes in the price of a car or a refrigerator or a washing machine is very, very small. And yet, on the other hand, many, many good American workers are going to have their jobs saved.
Well, that's the point. I mean, here, Ben, we've got U.S. Steel and Aluminum Company firing back up their factories. And also, if Canada and Mexico is exempt, and that's 25% or so of the steel and the metals imports here. I mean, the president is sitting right in his wheelhouse where he wants to be at the deal table, right?
Well, I think he's handled this incredibly brilliantly, as a matter of fact, because he has nothing to lose at this point by doing this except the votes of the economists, and the economists are only a few thousand people at most, maybe not even that many. So what he's got is the votes of the people who elected him, and they're going to be behind him. They know that he stood up for them, and they're going to stand up for him when the next elections come around, although whether it'll be good enough for 2018, I'm not sure.
But Ben, here's the point. The nuance about flexibility, about exemptions being lost right now on CNN and MSNBC. They are waving the hysteria flag saying that the president is going to unleash a global trade war. That is misleading the American people. It's not what he's saying. The tariffs are not as sweeping as we thought. He's saying the tariffs can be negotiated. Let's take a listen.
I've put Ambassador Lighthizer, great gentleman, in charge of negotiating with countries that seek an alternative to the steel and aluminum tariffs. We're negotiating now with China. We're in the midst of a big negotiation. I don't know that anything's going to come of it. They have been very helpful. President Xi, I have great respect for, a lot of respect. But I don't know that anything is going to come of that. At the same time, due to the unique nature of our relationship with Canada and Mexico, we're negotiating right now NAFTA. And we're going to hold off the tariff on those two countries to see whether or not we're able to make the deal on NAFTA. National security, very important aspect of that deal. And if we're making the deal on NAFTA, this will figure into the deal, and we won't have the tariffs on Canada or Mexico. Some of the countries that we're dealing with are great partners, great military allies, and we're going to be looking at that very strongly. The tariffs don't go effective for at least another 15 days, and we're going to see who's treating us fairly.
All right, Ben, you're an economic historian. Tell us about the history of the bad trade deals that the U.S. has made, because I'm watching CNN right now and MSNBC, and this is like the reality check has bounced. It's like election night redo. The sky's going to fall. I mean, the time and again, this hysteria is misleading the American people. Tell the viewer about the history of U.S. bad trade deal making.
Well, we have made some very bad trade deals, and the Smoot-Hawley that I talked about in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is must viewing, is that was a very bad mistake. We made it in the worst parts of the Great Depression and made the Great Depression even worse. But generally speaking, we have not had any really serious trade wars since then. And the idea that one tariff on a commodity of this, even an important commodity like this, will start a worldwide trade war is very far-fetched. We don't have those anymore. We have all kinds of agreements and conferences and conventions that keep people from having international trade wars. We are in a much more secure position about trade. And by the way, the U.S. is the least dependent on exports of any of the major industrial powers.
You know, and we've had 43 years, I think, of a trade deficit. We know that more than 100 Republicans...
That doesn't matter.
I hear you. Wait, we've got more than 100 Republican senators and congressmen. They don't like a broad, tariff structure. They want targeted. But you know what's really interesting? Tesla's Elon Musk, Ben, watch this. He's in a tweet storm about how unfair China has been. He's saying, quote, an American car going to China pays a 25% import duty, but a Chinese car coming into the U.S. only pays 2.5%. That's a tenfold difference. He's saying that China also forces American companies that want to open factories in China to give half ownership of that factory to a Chinese company. He's also saying, watch this, the current rules are unfair. He said, quote, they make things very difficult. It's like competing in an Olympic race wearing lead shoes. Your reaction?
Well, my reaction is that Elon Musk is a very smart guy, and I think he's right about this. We are not getting a fair deal, a fair shake from China. We let China slide for a very long time because they're a developing country. We wanted them to be our friends. They're an incredibly important and powerful country. They will undoubtedly be the world's dominant industrial power within the next 10 years. We want them to be our friends. But on the other hand, that's no reason to be pushed around by them. Being a friend is one thing. Being pushed around is another thing. And they have had very, very strict controls on U.S. exports to them. Let's have, as Mr. Trump says, let's have it be a fair deal. We want free trade, but we also want fair trade.
Yeah, that's been the point. Let's get to what's going to happen in Pennsylvania, Ben. President Trump will hold a rally in Pennsylvania this weekend, campaigning for Republican Rick Saccone in the first special election of 2018. Saccone's running against former attorney Democrat Conor Lamb for a Pennsylvania congressional seat in the House. Donald Trump won the state by 44,292 votes. That was out of more than 6 million cast. It was the narrowest margin in a presidential election for the state in 176 years. Okay, Ben, here's the deal. The tariffs, how they will appeal to the Rust Belt and rural workers, and whether that can overtake the urban city votes. Where do you come in?
I come in on the fact that Mr. Trump has nailed this one, too. This guy, for a guy whom the media is endlessly calling stupid, is pretty damn smart about knowing where the votes are and where the bodies are buried. He knows that this guy is an ordinary steel worker, an ordinary industrial worker, is looking to him and saying, Mr. Trump, you promised you were going to help us out. Now you're keeping your promises. We're going to vote for you again. Now, to be sure, the urban vote is going to be very, very highly energized in the next election, and they're going to be mad as hell at Trump, because they're always mad as hell at Trump. By the way, that's a subject for psychiatrists. I see you're about to have a psychiatrist on. Let's ask him about why people hate Trump so much. But I think he has targeted the right target here, and he's doing the right thing. I would have preferred that at the beginning he said they're going to be highly targeted, and instead of announcing it as a kind of a blockbuster wholesale tariff agreement.
Right,
he should have handled it a little more delicately.